kind of Whistler and the whole valley. So as during the day, as the land slowly starts to heat up when the sun comes out, the temperature rises, hot air rises over the land. The cold air down at the ocean by Squamish gets sucked up the valley. It's funneled through the valley and it hits the lake, expands. That's why we get really good breeze and it gets very gusty. So good things to look at, you know, before your day, if you're looking to find out what the wind's going to look like, is look at the temperatures, and particularly look at the temperature between here and Pemberton. If you use Environment Canada's website, it actually tells you like the Whistler temperature, it tells you the high for the day, and then it'll say except the high near Pemberton. So I'll normally check that, and I'll check the Squamish weather to kind of see what our chances of wind are going to look like. The wind normally comes in on a normal thermal day, kind of sometime in the morning, around 10 o'clock, 10, 11. Some days it'll come in earlier, others it'll be later. The one exception is when it gets really hot, we tend not to get the normal thermal. So if the whole valley gets really hot, if we got temperatures in the 30s all the way through the valley, we tend to get dead days or we get light north breeze. In our normal weather pattern, the first hour or two of the day will have a light north outflow. So if you've got beginner classes, sometimes it's really good to get them rigged and get them on the water right away. Once the normal thermal kicks in, it averages kind of 8 to 12 is kind of the normal, gusting up to 15, 18 when we get a big thermal. So yeah, good to watch out for that, and really important as a team to kind of communicate when we see the thermal coming in. The thermal can move in really quickly, and the wind can go from a nice like steady 4 or 5 knots that's great to cranking like 15, 16, gusting over 20 in the matter of 5 to 10 minutes. So if you see the thermal coming down the lake, it's pretty easy to spot. Just give the team a heads up so that we don't have classes that get kind of stranded and that sort of stuff. As for places to look for the weather, obviously, like I said, Environment Canada. Other things that are really good is the Squamish Wind Sports Society has a really good website. If you look up, it's what you call Squamish Wind Sports Society, there's a web page and it shows their like weather station down in Squamish. It shows the current wind reading, which is great to know. When the wind comes in Squamish, on a normal day, we'll get it about 45 minutes to an hour later. So if you see the winds come in, be like, okay, we're probably gonna get something. They also have some really helpful stuff on a page that we found like a week ago that has a bunch of other information, just like very specifics of wind and wind direction and just a little more complicated stuff. We have our own weather station, which is on the dock. That can be found on our website. If you click under the weather tab, it shows current wind direction, current wind speed, tracking data, etc. It shows the averages over the last how many hours? I don't.
Whatever you like. 24 hours. Yeah, whatever.
36. However many hours you like. So really good stuff to look at. And yeah, just generally, it's a nice one. If you're, I do it when I'm having my breakfast. Pull up the weather, take a look, start to make a plan for the day. And that weather pattern is also kind of dictates the way that we often coach on this lake. So as we mentioned on the coach boat drive around this morning, we normally spend a lot of time up the far end of the lake with our beginner groups. The wind is a lot less strong up there. It's a lot easier. It's really easy and really tempting sometimes to be like, oh, the wind looks really great from our docks. I'm going to launch my group from here and start sailing. And sometimes it works, but sometimes it can go from being fine to being really dangerous really quickly. So often if we start to see a good thermal coming in, it's better just to take the extra time, tow your class to the top of the lake, sail them where there's less wind, where they're going to be able to actually manage